all it means. It isn't that you are worshiping anybody. Amen. She did very well in the first service, and I know the second service will be better. She has some books that I'm going to talk to you about later. I forgot, she was timid to give it to me in first service, but she became untimid after first service when she was sure that what she was preaching was good. So she has a few manuals she has written, and I'll talk to you about that. Please receive her ministry this morning because it's fantastic. Kai, what's the last name? Olga. I wanted to say Kai Kasi, but praise the Lord. Clap as she brings the word. Clap very well.
Thank you, church. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. Let us pray. Father, indeed, the entrance of your word brings light. And it brings understanding in simple ways. And so, Lord, today I commit the teaching and what is going to be shared to your people. Father, I ask that everyone that has come here today would not leave this place the same. Your word will be strong in our homes, in our families, in our lives. Create the shiftings that you need us to move ahead with. Father, I just want to thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for this time. Use me, Holy Spirit. May your name be glorified. In the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Pastor, I'm grateful. Thank you, Ma. Thank you. Nagode. I said some appreciations, and indeed, Pastor Sarah said I'm her daughter, and the daughter of this house. I'm actually a product of this ministry and this house. I need to be ungrateful if I don't return thanks. In the first service, I said some, and I missed one very important one, and which is the fundamental. I started care group in Zone 7, and I went to the house, and the care group host, Dr. Nana Tenko. Thank you so much, Ma. I said this to her earlier in the year. She doesn't understand it, but my going to the care group, just because I was in that place and some friends in church pulled me and yanked me into the care group, has literally changed my life. It formed the foundation. It formed the foundation for who I've become today. Ma, I'm grateful. Thank you very much. Thank you, my coordinator then in Zone 7, Pastor Yakubu Yola. He dragged me into church and stayed on my case and submit your report and do this. And today it's showing. I'm grateful. And later on, myself and my husband and I moved to Asokoro, where we were coordinators. I'm grateful to Pastor Bala and his wife. They supported us there. And now we're in marriage enhancement class, Pastor and Mrs. Ebube. I'm grateful for all the support and all my MEC facilitators. And I also now serve in the EXCO for the Women of Excellence. So I'm grateful for that platform as well. Actually, this teaching we did with the women last week, and it was part of what started some of this. So, President, I'm grateful. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to all my WESCO members. Let us read the word. Let's open our Bibles to Genesis chapter 41, verse 33 to 36. And today, I'm going to be talking to you about how savings and investments lead to abundance. So we've been looking at abundance, and our pastor has been teaching us, like she said, this is the 8th week. How can you save and invest, and how will it lead to abundance? And what are the habits? The habits that we have acquired over time that have actually are on the layer, so we don't see them, but those things are now sort of stopping us from creating wealth and creating abundance. Okay, so let's read Genesis chapter 33 to 36. I made it shorter in the first service, but I'll take the whole thing now. Now, therefore, let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land to collect 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 plentiful years, and let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. 36. Then that food shall be as a reserve for the land for the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land may not perish during the famine. Okay, let's go to Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 to 8. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 to 8. So this is about the ant. I'm sure we know it, but I'll read it. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain overseer or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. Go to the ant. What does she do? She provides her supplies and gathers her food in the harvest. The last one I'll read, because there are some of us here that will be saying, Sister Kai, investment and saving is not biblical, and that's why I don't save. That's a mindset, but I'll deal with it as well today. So I'm showing you a few reasons. Okay, so Luke chapter 14, verse 28. Okay. For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? For which of you, intending to build a tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? Okay, so in Genesis chapter 41, what we see here, we call it the Joseph principle. Joseph was speaking to Pharaoh, and he said to him to save for the years of scarcity. So what we learn here is that we learn from the story the years of plenty, and it was a strategy of conservation. So in saving and planning, it's one strategy that we can adopt, and we can see it here is biblical, that we should have a strategy for how we save and plan our money. The second thing we see in Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 to 8, learn from the ants how they manage their resources. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. If the ants are maybe insignificant, if you will, but what they do is that they store provision in summer and they gather in winter. So in Luke chapter 14, okay, the slides are behaving funny, but they'll open up. Well, in Luke chapter 14, what we see there is for you to, who does not count the cost? So it's planning. For you, when you have money, and with many of the things we're doing, we need to plan our money and see how our money, how we generate more from our money. Okay, so let me tell you a little story, just a short story. Good. So my father told me this story. Some of you might have heard it, but he told me in his own little way. There was a farmer, a very, very poor, extremely poor farmer in Jos at the time. And this guy had a few chickens and one goose. So he was very poor. On this particular day, he stepped out of his house, and what he saw was unusual, because the eggs that the goose should lay would be brown or white. But on this particular day, they were golden. He laid one egg and it was golden. And he picked it up and he took it to the blacksmith, to the market square. And the blacksmith changed it and he gave him some money. The next day, the same thing happened. The third day it happened, and he went on and on and on. Every day he was laying one egg. So what obviously happened is that his lifestyle changed. He started to buy a farmland. He got a bigger farmland, and before he knew it, he acquired a few assets. So he became wealthy. And his wife, and one day they discussed together with the husband and said, the wife was saying, so why do we have to wait for these goose to lay one egg every day? Why do we have to do that? Why can't we just open this goose, cut it into two, and take out all the golden eggs that are in there, and then send it, and then we become very wealthy. We become wealthier than all the other farmers and everybody around. Your guess is as good as mine, right? They did just that. But did they find any golden eggs there? There were no eggs. Very, very important story there to tell us that what we have today, your salary is a golden egg, no matter how small. Now, in creating abundance, it is important to emphasize here that a number of us are waiting for this big contract, this big job, this big opportunity. Some people are even waiting for inheritance from their parents or from whoever, I don't know, to give them. Abundance has already been given. In the little that you earn, the 5,000 you earn, the 10,000 you earn, the 20,000 you earn, the 100,000 you earn, the 1 million you earn, abundance has been given. And because abundance has been given, Pastor, that's why you wonder. There are people who earn so much. And obviously, my financial life of 20 years, I've seen so much. There are people who, after earning $1 million, retiring from big corporations, end up with nothing. Because abundance comes to you a little per time. We've heard on this pulpit that the big is in the small. So that's where abundance starts. God has already blessed us every day with his abundance. We heard the song, God is a provider. Every day we wake up, he sends his sun and the rain to shine on us, and he has provided everywhere. But what we need to do is first to save money and then move it into investment. And that is what is missing. Now, I have an African proverb here. Let me quote it. No wise person puts their 10 fingers into their mouth at the same time. Do we do that? Can you put your 10 fingers into your mouth? But that's to say that we need to live a prudent life. So the first thing I'm establishing today is that in creating abundance, you can save first and then move that money into an investment vehicle. And I'll show you how you're going to do that. Abundance already exists in you. You don't need abundance to be created. So we're waiting for miracles. A miracle will drop. Oh, I'll get that 100 million. And a lot of us, I think maybe it's the Abuja mindset or something. That's how we think. Now, it's good to have an abundant mindset where you are believing for the big. But I'm saying today that at your point of call, if you sell kunu, abundance is there. If you're a medical doctor like Dr. Marcus, abundance is there. If you are a financial person like me, abundance is there. But if you don't start saving your money and investing it early enough, abundance may not just come. So what are the ways that people create abundance? Through investments and through businesses, multiple streams of income. And here I'll say something for people that work. That, yeah, if you do work, which is good, abundance, some people say, I can't work, that's all I can do. But I encourage you to look at multiple streams of income, especially in your spare time. I'll get into that. So the problem here, what is the problem? Please show them the first slide, is that we have worked so hard. And what we find is that we can't see the commensurate results in the work that we have put in. We see it every day. My company has a pension arm, so naturally you see retirees who come. And people are wondering, why is it that I don't have the money that they promised me? Now, I said that in the later part in the first service, but I'll say it now. Your pension is not a surprise. If you work and your company provides you, is saving for you a retirement savings plan, they don't give you all of it at retirement because there's a law, the PENCOM Act, that allows you to take a certain percentage of your income at retirement. And the rest, for obvious reasons, is spread for you, is staggered until, if you are no more here, your beneficiaries take it. And fair enough, my mom is 86, she still takes her pension. She taught back in Jos as a home economics person and all of that. She still takes her pension. So it's very important to understand for people who work that all the money doesn't come to you. So what you do to create abundance is look at other streams of income. I'll come to that. I've overshoot myself. Okay, so the first thing, please move. In financial management, we do, for you to start creating abundance, you have to look at your state. Where are you at the moment? For a number of us, please go to the slide on assets and liabilities. For a number of us, we need to look at the picture. Your assets on your left and your liabilities on the right in red. Now, assets are what you have, what you own. That is your own. It's my own, right? I have money in the bank, in GTB, is my money. I have a fixed deposit, is my asset. I have investments in any of the investment companies, in mutual funds or real estate, annuities. Your RSA, like I mentioned, is an asset. And then personal assets like your furniture, even paintings are assets. Paintings are assets because in times, sometimes you can trade them in a number of years. Now, liabilities. Leave that mortgage first. Things like your car, loans, credit card, and borrowing, personal loans, all those things that we acquire, clothes. This is not an asset, it's a liability. In fact, as I've worn it today, next week they say green. If I wear it again, they'll say, see that lady that was teaching. Do you understand me? The things we buy. Okay, so what you want to do is to measure your financial strength. So you have to do the assignments. It's very simple. Take a sheet of paper and cut it into two. On the left side is your asset, on the right side is your liability. The minus will give you your net worth. And the painful thing, I do this literally every day with people who come to the office. What we find is that for many people, the liabilities are pulling you up. They are stronger than your assets, which is not supposed to be. Next slide, please. Show them the picture. So what happens is that we buy the clothes. Oh, that's too fast. Oh, go back. Let them see the other pictures. They have to see my other picture. This is starting. So you have shoes, you have bags, Okay, and for bags, yes, a few bags, the designer ones, some of them are assets because you can trade them back, you can take them back and they give you, Donya, I don't even know, do they give you back? Donya is gone, but she would know. Do they give you back the bags or what? But some bags you can sell again. Okay, next slide. You can't get all the money. So in a way, it still has a liability element. Good. So what about this? My makeup lady takes 5K, and I was saying that this lady has increased her money. And the other day, my friend was saying, you, this guy self. The makeup people are charging 20 or 30K, depending on what you're doing. Nails, you spend about 10,000 if you change your nails in 2 weeks, right? Makeup and all. So these are the things that we buy. We buy in liabilities. Please move. Then hair. We buy hair pieces for 500,000, 1 million naira. Yes. My husband has a friend, his wife. The wife sells hair, and the husband was shocked that what the business his wife is doing, people are coming to buy the hair, 1,500,000. That's what we're doing. So this is where we're spending our monies on. Ashoibi, pastor said about Ashoibi the other day, and with Ashoibi, I say to people, get a balance. Is it possible for you? Do you have to do every single Ashoibi? That's the first question. The second one is, can you just do the color? On Ashoibi, I'll tell you this. A friend of mine, a former colleague of mine, their marriage actually bled for this. He asked me one question. Does my wife have to buy red? She has red green, she has red purple, she has red orange. She has all the reds, but for every wedding, and he lost his job. And this is where families, you need to come together. She lost his job. What is expected of you is to be understanding. And at that point, if she had knowledge of this, you don't have to buy every Ashobi. You can wear one of the reds, nothing will happen. Can I even shock you further with buying all these items? Last year, because I teach and I also train, I said, let me even test something. I carried the same bag for 6 months. And on the last day of the 6th month, because I was doing something, I asked my friend, my colleague, did you notice the bag I was carrying yesterday? She said, no. What about the one I carried last week? You know that my black bag? She said no, because I changed it on this day I was asking. So point is that nobody really cares. Nobody really cares. Honestly, you buy liabilities, nobody cares. Recently, a friend of my husband's was telling us a story when we visited her. Some women went to Dubai. They squeezed themselves, some girls in the financial sector, squeezed and maybe 200,000, 500 just to go to Dubai. At the end of the day, you go to the mall in the morning, so they squeezed in this dingy place in Dubai because they must enter Dubai. They couldn't even eat breakfast, they couldn't eat lunch. These are the realities of what people are doing. And when they got there to eat lunch, they couldn't eat lunch just to go to the mall and take the phone and do a selfie and say, hi, I'm in Dubai. So one of the ladies that told us said, after a while, she came back to her senses because she struggled. When she entered Abuja, she didn't even have 10,000 naira to move from the airport back home. And she asked herself, what life am I doing? So that's the liabilities we're buying. Another liability that we buy for families, please check this, are food stuff and provisions in the house. Put a budget to what you're buying. Absolutely important. When you do budgeting, you spend on paper. You take a sheet of paper and write everything you need for the month. I remember when I joined my company now as an investment and financial person, the MD and CEO was training us, and she asked us, all of you bring out your budget on paper. Everybody was looking, including myself, even though I knew. I was wondering, where's this woman getting to? And she said, I'm the CEO or deputy CEO at the time. I spend all my money on paper. You have to spend on paper, because when you don't spend on paper and budget, your money just leaks. Okay, let's move quickly. I've stayed here. So next thing you see is wristwatches. Men, are you there in the house? What about jewelry? Jewelry is very important. If you even buy liabilities, buy jewelry that you can spend. This jewelry I'm wearing was given to me 5 years ago, and I'm still using it. I use it once in a while, like on a special day like this. But because I can, tomorrow the value will appreciate. Okay? What about the clothes we buy and social media? Let me talk a bit about social media. If you take your money and put it on social media, make sure you are learning from it. When I go on social media, I use my phones a lot, but I read on my phone. I get information about what's going on in the country from social media, and that's a positive. So when I wake up in the morning, instead of spending 2 hours in front of the news, my husband would have done the summary right away. When he has summarized the news, I now pick up the phone and I go to Facebook. I have a cousin. Every morning he must talk about what's going on in Nigeria. I then know what is going on. So what am I saying? Use these items to create value for yourself. Create value in terms of knowledge, in terms of information. You're buying iPhone 8 today. Tomorrow is going to be iPhone 8XXXXX times 10. Before you know it, they brought another one, iPhone 9. Then they'll get to 15. Then what happens is that you have all these gadgets, you are changing them every day because you want to meet up with somebody's expectation. On the laptop, when I was doing my master's, we had a lecturer from one of the African regions in the UK. And one of the European guys, very wealthy, and those people that come from Arab and all, they change laptops like water. So one of them was saying to the lecturer, "Oh, your laptop is from which edition?" And the lecturer said, "Well, I use my computer for 2 things. I use it for Word, and I use it to type, and I use it to make presentation. The basic computer can do it for me." This was over 2000 and 2002, but I left that master's with a lesson. And he kept using that computer, which is to say, all these gadgets do one thing for you. They do the same thing. Make a phone call, do social media. So don't spend all our time on putting credit to chat. If you're chatting, get into a business group. You can ask Obina about that, how you can be in a business group, how you can do business with your social media. Okay? Cars. Vacation. This is the nice one. The thing with Nigerians is that when we go for vacation, we actually don't go for vacation. We go buying and going to the shops. And guess what? Health-wise, in financial planning, where it's a problem because you are taking away, you need to rest. If it is to rest, like Pastor said in the first service, you can go to your village and rest or rest at home. But if it is a vacation, that's another one. If it is a vacation, fine. Now for vacation, if you have a family of 3 or 4 or 5, and you can ask the travel agents here, the estimated cheapest cost for you to travel, if you travel twice in a year, your ticket alone, I'm not putting your living expenses, cost of staying in the hotel, cost of feeding, cost of strolling in the city, is about 6 million naira. Now, if we compound 6 million naira, so every year you put 6 million naira in travel. In 10 years, what will you have? What will you have? 60 million. In investment, that is 150 million that you have thrown away on traveling. And let's even say, for the sake of argument, that you only go with 1 child and your husband, so it's 3 million naira. If you put 3 million naira that you should travel with, and you put it in investment, let's say you travel every year, 3 million naira, every cost of ticket alone, 3 million naira in your investment, 3 times 3 million every year, so 3 times 10. 30 million, your return on investment is 51 million naira. Invested. So the simple way is to say, take the 3 million and invest 250 every month. You're going to get 3 million naira. Does that make sense? 3 million broken down to 250 every month will give you 3 million every year that you can move away into your investment. And I'll say this later, but if you then have one of those children that you are taking out, because my boss says at this point that Nigerians, we live as if tomorrow will not come. So if you have a child that is 5 years old, today, in 10 years, how old will that child be? Okay, if you have a child that is 7, in 10 years, how old will that child be? If your child is 10, in 10 years, how old will that child be? 20. And whether you are dead, because that's another thing. Oh, I don't need to invest because I may not even be here. Well, I say to people in investment, if you are not here, then you have left a legacy. You have left a plan that your children will go to school. So the question is not whether they go to school, it is how they go to school. Does that make a difference? The how is the difference. Like, you can decide that they go to a higher school because you didn't have the opportunity by saving. Okay, let's move. So what we have, all our liabilities are leaking. We have a leaking bucket. All the Go to the next slide. We keep buying liabilities, the bags, the cars, the hair, the wig, the ashwabi, the clothes, social media, phones, shoes, shopping, makeup. If you do makeup every month, maybe 10K, that's already how much? 120. Shifted away, and that can give you over 20 million in 10 years. Ask me about 10 years. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's like yesterday. Okay. So, at this point, let me pause and say something very important. Abundance is not magical. Please, abundance has already been given. For everybody seated in your seat, you have abundance at your place. When you take your paycheck, this is the last week of the month, either this week or next month, just remember that Kai said there is abundance in that money. Even if it is 1,000 naira. Now, for those who are at the level of 1,000, and I understand that, and that is why in investments, we've made it possible for you to start with 5,000, and you can be adding 1,000 every month. That must be a place of ease, at least. But the question is, if you really can't save 5,000 naira, I said it is a crisis. But what it is that, what can you do? And I mentioned 3 areas. You can invest, you can start a business, and look at multiple streams of income. Simple of it is that you can go to the Wuse market, and I'm coming down to the base because that's where it starts. I can't tell you to invest if you don't have money. That's the truth. You cannot start an investment plan without money in your hands. So to invest, you go to the market with 5,000, 2,000, buy Zobo, do Zobo drinks, do Kunu, beans. With beans, you can come out soup. You have from beans, you get soup, you get moi moi, you get bean cake. So what is it that you can do? Like for me, I'm not a hands person. I mean, I cook to just save my life, like to let my mom, she was in second, but she dealt with us in cooking. So now it's like, okay. But there are people who are wired to cook. Use that talent to create your abundance. Use that talent to create your abundance. Okay, so I'm going to show you something here. Okay, now in investment, 3 things happen. You make money, you invest, then you spend. You must make the money, and that's why I've stayed here to say there are people who are not making money. Church, you have to find out, how can I make the money? Honestly, if you're not making money and you're in this room, you're not making 5,000, I don't mind. I will stay back and help you after service. We need to find a way. Then invest it, and then you spend. Investing is when you preserve. So let me clarify here. Preserving money is that you save money, but you make the money to grow when you now move it into an investment vehicle. Does that make sense? So it's a continuum. Look at my hand. It's a circle. In investment, this is what happens. You make, you invest, you spend. You make, you invest, you spend. So it's a circle. Make, invest, spend. Make, invest, spend. But what happens is that we make money for a number of us, and we spend. We make and spend. We make and spend. We make and spend. And we have broken the circle. You have to see that money. That's why it's called the money circle. And I have a dollar money rule there. Maybe some of us will get it. So to make money, you need to activate the circle of money. I think that's pretty simple. Make money, preserve, and spend. Another concept that will help you is to look at the financial life circle. In the financial life circle, the discussion in financial management is, where are you on the life circle? So if you are 25 years, between 25 and 35, there's something going on for you financially. In a normal environment, and I'll explain, you are supposed to be accumulating wealth, which is the wealth accumulation. Then the wealth enhancement is people from 35 up to 45 or a little bit after, where you enhance. Meaning that the people who are younger, because you live in a house, you are squatting with somebody, you have dependents or what.